Hey guys, what's up? We are here with a rare beauty video. Chances are you've already watched one if you're here. However, I purchased all of this on my own and I thought rather than doing a first impressions, it might be more helpful, or at least it's more helpful to me to see tested reviews of stuff to see whether it's really worth it. I love the concept behind Rare Beauty, the fact that they're donating so much money, or their goal is to donate so much money towards mental health awareness, and all of the packaging of the items is actually created to be easier for people with arthritis to open up. And the packaging is all very pretty, simplistic, totally aesthetically pleasing to my personal preference. But as far as how the product works, is it all hype or not? Let's get into it. This primer, I have kind of mixed feelings about. It is very smoothing and it leaves a super pearly, hydrating looking glow. But I don't feel like with or without it, the foundation goes on any smoother. And I would almost wear this more on like no makeup days, because the glow it gives to the skin I think is super, super pretty. So like you can see on my fingers, look at the sheen it leaves behind, and it's completely just soaked in. Now onto the foundations, and you can hear the little ball in there. My like bat wings are like flying right now. I have the shades 240W and 320W though, because I couldn't really find my exact shade, so I'm just gonna mix the two. If you're familiar with any kind of Rare Beauty information, then you probably already know that this has a doe foot applicator. You can apply this straight onto your face if you like. There definitely is an issue with hygiene, because if you apply to your face, any bacteria that is on your face will be on the applicator and will go back into the foundation. It's unrealistic to think that everyone would like put it on the back of their hand or like on a palette. If you have the patience, I would suggest to do that, but I understand also. I'm gonna put it on the back of my hand just because I'm mixing the two shades. The texture of it is almost like an oil serum, so it has a slip to it, but it is very lightweight and comfortable on the skin. So I'm just gonna start off with a little bit. This has pretty good coverage, like more coverage than you would think, and I'm using the foundation brush to blend that in. You can see it's evened out my skin really nicely. I had a blemish here. It's covered up most of the redness, even though you can still kind of see the blemish. It also blends out so quickly and easily. This whole line is kind of geared towards letting your natural beauty show. So your skin should still look like skin. Now for the cons, okay, unpopular opinion, possibly. I have noticed that when I wear this, if there is any kind of dry skin, it grabs onto the dry skin. It looks great even at like a 1 foot distance from the mirror, but if I get real up close to the mirror, I can definitely tell there is some texture here, a little bit of texture here, like around my pores and stuff, around my mouth, a little on my nose. And I'm somebody who is super diligent with skincare, exfoliating, but if you notice any texture, I'm just here to tell you that I have noticed the same thing. Is it enough of a difference for me to say I hate this foundation? Absolutely not. This is a beautiful, beautiful foundation. It lays over blemishes really nicely, but it's just the dry skin texture. I didn't get the Rare Beauty sponge because I just didn't want to. I use like this e.l.f. sponge, or you can use a beauty blender and just go over your face really lightly, and it just helps kind of blend and press everything in so it doesn't sit on top. So I'm just getting some of the product off of the back of my hand so that it doesn't lift too much from the face. And I'm just lightly dabbing. This is damp. Next up is concealers. I have two shades again, 230N and 240W. 230N is like a little too light for me, so I'm just gonna go in with 240W. It's got a really cool flattened doe foot applicator, so it makes it really easy to create the lines that you want to create. A little bit into the inner corner for brightness, a little bit here for some lift, and then I always get around my nose a little bit, and then down the center, chin, I'm just gonna let that sit for a second to kind of maximize my coverage. So I'm just taking the same side that I had the remaining foundation, and I just like to take concealer a little bit onto the lid just to kind of even out my lid color. I really like how it's a glowy skin-like finish, and the coverage is pretty much medium. You can't really build it up to full coverage. So I'm just gonna go in a little bit with another layer just right here, just to show you guys what building up the concealer looks like. Personally, I would have just stopped at one. I don't think it gives you a significant boost in coverage with the 2 layers, and now it feels like I do have something on my under eyes, and the 1 layer didn't feel that way. Also, I run a much higher risk of creasing even with the powder with more under eye concealer. I have 2 of the liquid luminizers, which is a liquid highlight. I have Mesmerize and Outshine. So that right there, the pinky one is Mesmerize, and then this is Outshine. So you can see that it turns pretty yellow on the skin, and I already have so much yellow in my skin, I don't need more of that. So that's what happens when you mix both of them together. So I'm just gonna take this and focus it where I want, and I'm actually going to blend it out with my e.l.f. sponge. Right here, it has lifted some of the foundation and it irritates me. It also looks like patchy and thick when you blend it out with the sponge, and it's just like, why? The foundation is great, the concealer is great. Why did this have to be the thing that got away, you know? So I'm gonna just go back in with the foundation side and blend that out. So I'm just taking this e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush, and I'm gonna pop it onto the other side with the brush. It's still lifting a little bit, and I'm not the biggest fan. It's so irritating that it does that to me, because I think that there's so much potential for a product like this, and it's so much product. You get so much highlighter in that container. So I'm just gonna add some of that to the high points of my brow. And the highlight, just so you guys know, does not dry down into a powder. It stays creamy. And anytime you feel a product start to dry down and tug, instead of brushing it in, just tap it and distribute it that way, because if you brush it, you're gonna start pulling the foundation and concealer underneath. Where the highlighters fell short though, the blushes came through. Okay, I went the first day and got like 2 shades, and then I promptly went back and got every single shade. They're like a cream to powder finish. You need so little to take you such a long way. And I know that they're not marketed to be used on the lips and the eyes. However, I think that anything can be used anyway as long as it's not toxic. So I have been using these on my eyes and lips as well, because I always use blushes as eyeshadow. So from bottom to top, there is Bliss, Happy, Grace, Joy, Love, Grateful, Lucky, and Faith. All the shades work on my skin tone, including Bliss, which is like the lightest nude shade. If you have significantly deeper skin than I do, this probably will be the one shade that definitely does not work for you. However, there are so many different shades with undertones and depth to them that you can definitely find at least 1 or 2 shades that work for you no matter what your skin tone is, which is amazing. I'm gonna go in and start off with Bliss. I love layering everything, and that's literally what I'm starting with. So I'm just taking the same sponge. You definitely want to blend these out quickly because they dry down pretty fast. Like even for me just now, you can see the initial dot where I put Bliss, but that's fine because you can take your foundation side. You can even take more foundation from the back of your hand and just go over it to blend it out. And that's why I like having a palette or the back of your hand as your palette, because you can really fix anything and everything this way. So I'm also going to show you with the brush. You can use any brush. I actually have been using the Fenty cheek blush that came out with their cream bronzers and blushes, and it works really well. These come in 2 finishes. You have your dewy finish and you have your matte finish. I personally really like both of them. So I'm just going to take a little bit of Joy and just blend. And now I'm going to actually go in with another color, but I am going to switch to the Fenty brush. The biggest reason why I would suggest using a brush like this is because there's a little more give. It's a little softer, and I find that that really helps to blend out the color product. The stiffness in this is great for foundation and for adding coverage, but I like the control and the amount of blending I can get with this brush or a brush like this. So I am going to go in with Grace. Another trick when you're working with really pigmented products is to put it on the brush or on your sponge and just blend it out on the back of your hand to evenly distribute it, so that when you go onto your face, it's so easy to apply and you don't have to worry about patchiness or unevenness, and you can just press it onto the skin. So that is Grace on top of Joy on top of Bliss. I kind of want to add Love on top, and then I start back further and bring it up. I really like that color. It's so pretty. This seems like a time-consuming process, but if you have the time to like slowly build up layers, it takes more time, but your finish is a lot more in your control. The nice thing about cream products is, like, right now it looks like I got like sunburned almost, but what you do is just take your sponge, get a little bit of the foundation, and then you can blend it. And I'm actually just gonna add a smidgen of concealer. So it's not really under my eyes so much. It's more to create that triangular hit of light. There is no Rare Beauty eyeshadow thus far, so I just wanted to add a little bit of color. I'm going to take some of Bliss and Love and put it all over the lids as like a light wash of color, and I'm just using the same e.l.f. concealer brush. I'm here for this rusty kind of mauve shade. For powder, they have a pre-powdered puff and like blotting papers. That to me is more maintenance. It's not really for setting. I wasn't really interested in that, so I didn't get it. But I need to set my face with powder. These products just don't stay where I want them to, especially the concealer. So I'm gonna just go ahead and use my Hourglass Translucent Veil setting powder under my eyes and on my face a little bit. This is one of the reasons why I really appreciate and enjoy the Rare Beauty complexion products. You can still see the radiance of the foundation, the brightness and radiance of the under eye concealer. You can see the cheek color, the eye color, and all of it is set with powder. To begin with, my cheek color was really subtle, but you can really amp up the cheek color and then set it with a translucent powder. And you don't need to add another powder blush to make it look bolder or to have it last longer, because these on their own, the blushes, are so long wearing. The only thing that is missing for the complexion, in my opinion, is a bronzer. I'm a bronzer girl, obviously, because I'm like 12 different shades of brown, probably more. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pop on a bronzer to kind of even everything out so you guys can see a more realistic finished look. I'm taking my Ilia bronzer, and this is an Eco Tools, I want to say blush or bronzer brush, and I'm just going to add that to my face where I usually do, which is like a hairline, cheeks, jawline. The only 3 products I didn't get from the range were the powder set, the concealer brush, and the brow pencil and gel. The brow pencil and gel just didn't really appeal to me. It was too pigmented of a pencil, and the brow gel, I have like my holy grail. I'm gonna just quickly do my brows. I use the Fenty Brow MVP in dark brown and the Benefit 24-hour brow setter. I use so little of the brow pencil though. It's primarily just brow gel. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. So I got the liquid liner, and I do love a winged liner, but recently I have been more into a smudged out winged liner. So this is a little more intense than what I am used to. Whoa. I've never done that before. I wonder if she's gonna come out with cartridges, like refillables. Interesting. The brush is a brush tip, not a felt tip, so there are bristles and it is thicker. So if you're someone who likes a super thin line, you can achieve that, but you have to be super careful and just use the very edge of the brush in light little strokes. That's my suggestion. Or if you're someone who loves a thick line, it's going to be really easy to get that with this pen. You want to shake it, because if you don't shake it, it will dry as you're applying it. Also, this is supposed to be a matte liquid liner. It's not really as matte as I would like it to be, and I think it's supposed to be waterproof. It's not totally waterproof, or not as waterproof as other liquid liners like the Stila Stay All Day, because I definitely shed a couple tears while I was wearing this one day, and it did in fact come off. Done. Put the pen down. Put the pen down. I'm going to use the Rare Beauty Always an Optimist 4-in-1 mist. I'm going to shake it well. This mist is great if you want a dewy finish. So you can see that there's a lot more glow. I like this better than the primer as far as adding hydration to the skin. This is like a little too much glow in my T-zone, so I like to repowder my T-zone. There is no mascara in the line yet, so I'm gonna go ahead, pop on mascara, and I'll be right back. Now we can close out with the lips. There are two different formulas. They have the Dewy Lip Balm and then the Matte Lip Cream. The Dewy Lip Balm, it's like a glossy lipstick, and the Matte Lip Cream is like a velvet liquid matte lipstick. So I'm gonna show you guys the three shades in the Dewy Lip Balm that I have. I have Empathy, Thankful, and Praise. So we'll start off with Praise first. So now you can see that it is a lot of color, but it feels so lightweight. It feels like a very lightweight, slippery kind of a lip balm. I don't find that they're more hydrating than like my fresh caramel lip balm, but I love having this to like throw in the bag. This is Empathy. I think this is such a pretty like rosy berry pink, and I think it would be so flattering on all skin tones, but especially if you are medium to deeper skin tones, this is like a great nude pink. And this shade is Thankful. It's definitely my favorite of the three. This one is like a berry nude. It's like such a sophisticated, rich, yummy kind of a color. From the matte lip creams, this shade is Brave. It's like this rusty, corally orange. I find that all the shades look so different person to person because they're not super opaque. They're slightly buildable, like with 2 layers you can get a bolder color. However, I would not layer these too much because they are a thick kind of a moussey texture. They're very comfortable on the lips. They're not drying at all. But I find that if you put too much on, it does start to clump a little bit or fall into your lip lines if you have very defined lip lines. One layer kind of feels like nothing, which I really like. This shade is Courage. It is a cooler kind of pinky, mauvey, purpley almost nude. It's a very flattering color. This shade is Fearless, and this one is what I see myself wearing the most frequently because it's like this beautiful mauvey rose. All of these actually, if you just put one swipe and then rub it in, they look so pretty as like this blotted out melted watercolor kind of a look. This shade is Transform, and this is an example of one of the things that I don't really like about these, and it's very minimal. But if you look at what the shade looks like on the tube and then on my lips, it's so different. And when I was picking out these shades, I went in store. It was all very safe. However, because it's so safe, you can't touch any of the testers. A Sephora employee can do it for you, but she kept telling me like, oh, the color is the same as it is on the outside, but it's not. Like this is like a berry pink, but on me, this looks like a red. So just be aware, heads up. The last shade that I got is Motivate, and it is this super intense candy pink. However, because it's that blurred out kind of texture, it makes it more wearable. And I like that. I'm into it. I think you can make it neon if you layer it with other things. This color though is one of them that really falls into my lip lines and kind of emphasizes those. So just be aware, but it is a very pretty color. The lip combo I have on right now is Fearless and Thankful, and the formulas work well together. It feels really comfortable. That's that on that. If you know, you know. In the time it's taken for me to film this, my foundation has started to move a little bit. So around my nose, which is a usual culprit for clumping of product. And then a little bit around this area, like my smile lines, and then around my mouth here where I have some pores, and here on my chin too, just a tiny bit. But that is real up close, like 1 foot away from the mirror right now. My skin looks great. I can't tell any of that. And my suggestion on how to minimize that as much as possible is to just not layer on or use too much product. This line was created for a more natural makeup effect, and I would just use it accordingly, because if you put on too much of the foundation or you put on too much powder, that's when things start to go a little funny. Now let's get into the roundup. Primer, really lightweight, really pretty dewy finish, not very hydrating, and doesn't really affect the way the makeup wears too much. So do you need it? No. But is it pretty? Yes. Foundations, good coverage, really lightweight on the skin, feels like nothing, and gives you a glowy, natural looking finish. Cons, if you use too much of it, it will build up and start looking a little cakey. And if you have dry skin, it will emphasize that texture slightly. But do I think it's worth it? Yes, I think it's worth a try. It's definitely not my holy grail foundation, but it is slowly becoming one of my like day-to-day light wear foundations. Concealers, medium coverage, natural finish, very skin-like finish. I think that there are better everyday natural makeup concealers out there, and I think that if you're looking for a fuller coverage concealer, this is not the one. They're just not my absolute favorite concealers at this point in time. Highlighters, really pretty on bare skin, acts funny on top of makeup and tends to pull the makeup away more than I would like it, but would be phenomenal for underpainting. Not my favorite highlighter. Do you need them? No. I feel so cutthroat doing it like this, but I'm just trying to be honest with you guys. Blushes, super lightweight, cream to powder finish, blends beautifully, super incredibly long lasting. Do you need them? 100%. Low key might be one of my favorite cream blush formulas, and I have a couple of them, and all of them actually work pretty similarly and so incredibly pigmented. 10 out of 10, my favorite product of the entire line. The mist adds a lot of hydration, gives the skin a really pretty glow, really melts down the makeup and pulls everything together. Pretty strong, aggressive sprayer, and I don't think it increases the longevity of wear. But if you are looking for something that's going to give you dewy glow without being like Tatcha Dewy Luminous Glow level, then this is a great option. Eyeliner, fairly easy to apply, especially if you're doing a thick line. Brush instead of felt tip, not black enough for me and not quite waterproof enough for me. I think there are better liquid liners out there. Dewy Lip Balms, love these. I think they're definitely worth a try. Probably my second favorite item after the blushes in the entire line. Colors are really pretty. I hope she comes out with more. Very comfortable on the lips and easy to reapply. Cream matte lips, really comfortable on the lips, very lightweight, gives you that blotted stain-like effect. Cons, it kind of falls into the lip lines depending on the colors, and the shade inside is not always the shade outside. So when you're choosing a color, make sure you are swatching it or looking at other people's swatches. They will look different person to person. They're also not going to be as long wearing as your traditional liquid lipstick, and they're not transfer proof, but for a matte formula, they're very, very comfortable and super creamy and balmy. That's a wrap on this Rare Beauty try on and review. I hope you guys enjoyed and maybe found this helpful. If you try anything or have tried anything from Rare Beauty, please leave a comment down below and let me know what your favorite items are, because I know that a lot of other people on YouTube had like rave reviews for a lot of the stuff, and I just had a different opinion on some of the things. So I'm really curious to see if it's just me or if other people feel this way also. But until my next video, thank you guys as always so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye.